Hi friends, welcome once again to this space. We have the visit of a new wrestler that accepted the call, and this time is Amira Lukens. She's here with us after doing her first tour in Japan with Marvelous. She has some dates for the remaining of the summer, and I'm sure she will have an exciting remaining of the 2025. Sorry. Welcome, Amira. It's nice to have you here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, we want to do some questions to you. You've been doing a lot. You just celebrated your third year anniversary as a professional wrestler. And, looking back at everything you have done and everything you have achieved so far, it's pretty amazing. So are you ready for some questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. So, like I mentioned before, you just celebrated your third anniversary in the business. So why did you decide to become a pro wrestler?
I decided to become a pro wrestler around 2019, 2020. That's when I had the first thought in my head. I didn't grow up watching wrestling. First exposure to wrestling was actually, I had broke my ankle from a rock climbing accident back in 2019. And I was like running out of things to watch on TV. So my partner at the time, he showed me Lucha Underground for the first time. So that was my first exposure to pro wrestling. And then when I was able to walk again, I went to live shows. The first Prestige Roseland was actually my first live wrestling show ever. And I was hooked after that. In 2020, right before everything kind of shut down due to COVID, I went to a show and I was thinking I feel like this is something that I could do. And so that's when I first had the thought. Obviously, COVID made things a little difficult to get started. But once things started to calm down a little bit, a school opened up in Hillsboro, Oregon. And I was one of the first students to join the school. So that was back in 2022. Yeah.
Cool. And also it's very interesting what you mentioned, because pro wrestling it's fun, it's cool. Watching on TV, it can make you hooked to the product, but there's nothing like live pro wrestling, right?
Nothing like it. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any wrestlers that you consider your role models or inspirations or references for your style, or the characters that you have right now?
I actually draw a lot of inspiration from Ricky Steamboat, which I don't know if people can see that, but he's definitely one of my favorite wrestlers. But also I like the kind of hero, the fire he has, and that kind of resilience in his character. And he's just very well loved by a lot of people. And I think I kind of draw a lot of that inspiration as a good guy from Ricky Steamboat. I draw from him, and then I look at some of the greats like Rey Mysterio for some of those smaller guy moves. But I draw from a lot of strong characters too. So I love the Steiners, and I kind of draw a little inspiration from that. I wear the singlet, and a couple of my singlets were inspired by Eddie Guerrero. At least my current design is actually inspired by Eddie Guerrero, and I have another singlet that was more of a Steiner inspiration because it's multi-patterned.
Yeah, you mentioned Mysterio and Steamboat are, we can say, are pure baby faces, or at least faces. The Steiners were the bad and cool guys, and Eddie, no one like Eddie. Those are really cool references. And also Mysterio is, small, short in size, but he's strong, he has a good build. Then going to 2022, when you were active in pro wrestling, by the end of the year, you started competing in DEFY, which is one of the big promotions from that side of the country in America. So what has your experience been like with them? And do you have matches that you would like to highlight from your matches there so far?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite matches, at least recent ones, was me versus Marina Shafir for the DEFY Women's Championship. I really enjoyed that one and getting to work with Marina. And I think my match with Zamaya from DEFY did an all women's show, and I wrestled Zamaya. That was another match that I thought was a really good pairing. Zamaya's very kind of intimidating character. She has like essence of like full Nakano in her character, so that's actually really cool. But yeah, I think that match with Marina was probably one of my most favorites in DEFY.
How would you describe your experience in DEFY so far?
It's been great. I was very lucky in that I actually got to be a part of DEFY very early in my career because I debuted, I guess I might have been a little off on the timeline here. I started training in 2021. I debuted in 2022. Within a few months of debuting, I actually was asked to be on DEFY, which was very scary for me because I think I was like only a few months into being a pro wrestler. But I wrestled Viva Van, my very first match for DEFY, and that was I was very nervous, but I think the DEFY fans were very welcoming, and a lot of them had known me because they would see me setting up the ring and helping out with shows before I actually debuted as a wrestler. So because of that, I feel like this overwhelming sense of family and connection there, because they've seen me go from ring crew to the person I am now, the wrestler I am now. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I believe that's important, and not everyone gets to see that, because when you are training at school in your local area and you start to try to get more into your local scene and try to be close to some promotions, you have to start from the bottom. Some people don't understand that, but that also helps you to connect with the local fan base. You know, there are people that are hardcore fans from a specific promotion of their town, so that also helps you to, you know, to win their hearts, and maybe that can help a little bit to ease your nervousness in those first matches. So that's something important. And also at the end of 2022, you started to compete for Prestige, which is another big indie promotion from that area. So it's in a similar fashion. Which matches would you like to highlight from your experience there so far? And how would you describe your experience in the promotion?
Prestige, I'm trying to think. One big one that kind of seems a little odd to want to highlight was my death match with Drexel. That was kind of a big moment for me in Prestige, and something that I feel like was a turning point for me as a wrestler and just for all the fans of Prestige and how they viewed me. So yeah, that match with Drexel, the match with me and Jaden as Ultra Power versus Sinner and Saint, that was a big one. And I also think the second Cascadia Cup, I wrestled Evan Rivers and Judas Icarus in singles matches. Those two matches were actually a couple of ones that I really, really enjoyed doing.
That's great. And about your experience with the promotion?
Again, kind of similar to DEFY. Prestige fans have seen me since before I debuted. And some of them even saw me as a fan because my first live show was the first Prestige Roseland. So I think it's really cool to kind of have that almost a long-term storytelling. And that's kind of the death match was actually very meaningful because the first show I went to, Drexel was on the show, and there's a picture of me with Drexel as a fan. And then fast forward to, I think it was Roseland 7 where we did the death match. Big deal to go from fan to ring crew to wrestler to doing that match. So again, another like feeling of family and kind of that belonging because they kind of got to see me grow to this point. So always a good experience at Prestige.
That's awesome. And now that you mentioned Roseland again, at Roseland 2024 last year, you faced Athena, the Raw Women's World Champion, the forever champion, one of the best in the world. It was such a big match for you in one of the biggest, if not the biggest show of Prestige in the year. So how did that match feel to you, and what do you impressions have of her as a competitor?
Yeah, so that Roseland was actually a bit of a crazy one because there was the hurricanes happening that actually prevented a lot of flights from coming into Portland, and a lot of people were missing their flights. So we actually had to restructure the card pretty quickly. And I was originally supposed to face Jordan Grace that show, but she wasn't able to make it. And then Kylie Ray was also on that show. And at first it was just going to be me versus Kylie Ray, but then they kind of restructured things a little bit. And then Athena could come in last minute. And it was kind of a wild kind of 24 hours for me and everybody involved in Prestige, just because of all the missed flights, this and that. This person's coming in last minute. But to get the text that I was going to be wrestling Athena, it was pretty big. And I think I was on an airplane going to a show the night before in Arizona when I got the text about the change to have me wrestle Athena. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I was kind of thinking about that the whole time instead of really focusing on what I was doing. But what a great opportunity. And I feel like it was one of those matches that I grew from, and also one of those that kind of helped the Prestige fans see what I'm all about and where I'm progressing in my wrestling career.
Also, because of your work with Prestige and DEFY, you had the opportunity to debut in TJPW during the crossover shows in 2023 and 2024. So, how was your experience competing for a Japanese promotion, even though it was a crossover show in the United States? And what impressions did the competitors left to you on those matches? I remember you had, I believe, 2 matches teaming with Rika Tsumi.
Yes, yeah. It was kind of funny that I ended up tagging with her both times. And the Prestige crossover was us versus Max the Impaler and Palm, which that was a really fun one. And it was also kind of cool because I was the only local girl, at least like Oregon, Portland local, that they asked to come out for that show in LA. So I felt very honored to be a part of that. And then again, getting to tag for DEFY. That one was kind of cool because we did have more local girls. So Washington and Oregon girls being able to compete with the TJPW girls. And I think that it brought us together, like our different styles. We brought the styles together to make kind of a unique show for DEFY and for Prestige as well. I was very happy to do both of them and made a lot of new friends too. Even though there's a language barrier, a lot of them actually do speak very good English too, which is really cool. But the language barrier, I feel like everybody's connected through wrestling, so that language barrier almost doesn't exist.
I will talk a little bit more about Japan when we get to that part, but are you still in touch with some of the TJPW roster members?
For the most part, like we follow each other on Instagram and stuff. So that's about where that is, and on Twitter. So I stay in touch that way.
Now going fast forward, 2025, matching this with Japan, you made your debut in Marvelous in May. You had a tour of 3 months with them. I want to know a lot about this because it was your first time touring Japan and you did the complete 3 months. Not every foreigner gets that opportunity. Some just go for a weekend or for a week, so that's very cool. How did that came about? What was this experience like? You know, the matches, the production of the shows, interacted with the fans. Because, like I mentioned, you stayed with them the 3 months. You basically joined the Marvelous family. So, how was everything about it?
The whole 3 months was a really incredible experience, and I'm very grateful that I got to do it. The opportunity came about because West Coast Pro, which does a partnership with Prestige, they periodically were doing tryouts because they have the partnership with Marvelous as well. And these tryouts would allow people to get selected to go and train with Marvelous and tour with Marvelous for the 3 months. The first time they had ever done this tryout, I actually did participate, but I didn't get picked from that first tryout. And then when the announcement came for the tryout that I did get picked at, there was just something, a gut feeling that told me that I needed to try again. And lo and behold, went to do the tryout in San Francisco, and me and Ryan Clancy got picked from that tryout. So we both got to go and have that opportunity to be part of Marvelous for 3 months. And it's interesting to get used to different kinds of fans, especially when I was first getting out there, because I feel like American fan and Japanese fans is a little bit different in how they react to things. But overall, I feel like everybody was really welcoming and excited to have new faces competing in Marvelous. And just getting to train and learn and experience different kinds of wrestling, different kinds of exercise, and just different kinds of living. I think I am a better wrestler and a better person for having done that 3 months in Japan.
So thank you for sharing that. How was your daily life in Japan? We mentioned that it's obviously a different country, a different culture, a different language, over 20 hours plane flight from America. So how was it?
Daily life, I actually kind of really missed it. I had a pretty good routine. Me and Ryan would walk to the gym every morning, and we'd walk an hour to the gym, and we'd wake up at like 5 a.m. We go work out, we take the bus back, and then we train because we had training Monday through Friday, unless there was a show or something. And after training, we kind of just had the opportunity to explore and just sightsee and do whatever we want to do. And we had a lot of free time on the weekends too, if we weren't wrestling. But I kind of went in with a little bit of a advantage because I had actually studied Japanese for 4 years in college. So it had been a while since I actually used it. So it was a little rusty, but I could still read fairly well. I feel like I wasn't as lost. And I think hearing it and being around it kind of made my brain remember a lot more of it. So I kind of had that advantage going into the trip. But it was great because the transportation, like the trains and all that, made it so we could all go and sightsee as much as or as little as we wanted to. But yeah, just having that daily routine in the morning, I really missed that.
Thank you for sharing that. I believe that it's a great skill to have, learning Japanese. I also discussed about this with Robert, who also learned a bit before going to Japan. And also it's a very cool statement from West Coast because you have done some West Coast shows by that time, but you don't usually compete in the promotion. Same fashion with Ryan. And it's very cool that they allow people from everywhere literally, and everyone can get picked. That's very cool. Also in Marvelous, you had, I believe, your very first match in Marvelous was Korakuen Hall during the one-day tag team tournament, and you teamed with Chihiro Hashimoto. You guys won the first round, but then got eliminated by the winners and current AEW tag team champions Scar Rush, Sari, and Takumi Roja. So how was the experience of this first show and having 2 matches the same night or same evening, if I'm not wrong?
Yes. It's funny. I wasn't expecting to kind of get thrown in like that with so many matches, but I was also like, okay, I'm ready for the challenge, right? And I remember I went to go say hi to Chigusa that morning, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you nervous?" And I went, "Maybe a little bit." And she said, "Don't be nervous. Just don't be nervous." I'm like, okay. You know what? You're right. But it was great too because Chihiro Hashimoto, like, she's the top girl of the Sendai girls, and she's so experienced and so knowledgeable, and she made it so easy to tag with her as well. Obviously, getting kind of thrown into multiple matches with a little bit of a language barrier can be daunting at first, but I think with the first match also being a comedy kind of style, it kind of made me relax a little bit because I kind of had that fun match and then the more wrestling style matches. So everybody that I worked with that night made it so easy to just kind of feel at home in Marvelous.
And even though it was not a long match, how was that bout with Spark Rush?
It was great. It was kind of fast paced, and I really liked that. I like the style that Takumi and Sari have. I enjoyed watching their matches while I was there too. So it was really cool to get to work with them before they got the tag titles.
Awesome. And also, while you were in Japan, you had the opportunity to debut for one of the biggest promotions, not only in Japan but in the world, which is Pro Wrestling Noah. They just celebrated their 25th anniversary. yesterday, and you competed in Monday Magic, which is a very fun type of event that they try to run twice a year. When it's like the mystery vortex concept. You don't know who is going
Yeah.
to be there, what kind of matches you will see, which it makes very exciting for the audience. And every time there are sold out crowds in there, so you could face. So, how did that came about, and what was your experience like on those shows?
hmm So while we were out there, Marvelous basically told us what bookings we have. They kind of were in charge of finding those bookings for us. So Johnny and I were just told randomly one day, like, "Oh, you're on Sunday Magic." We're like, "Oh, okay." And I think we were told like a few days before. So we were very excited for that. And I think she and I were both pretty nervous just because it's Noah and it was such a big thing. I remember we were like, "Oh, what gear are we gonna wear? What color do you have? What color do I have?" We were trying to make ourselves match as much as possible. But the fans for Pro Wrestling Noah are, I feel like, is a good mix of people from different cultures too, which was I found very surprising. But I thought that was really cool because I could hear people speaking English in the crowd, Japanese. I could just hear it going on around me, and I felt like they reminded me a lot of like an American style crowd and just the way they were reacting to things. So that was kind of cool to have that feeling of almost being back home. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I think me and Johnny were very happy with our performance when we tagged together.
Great. And also, you made your debut for another promotion, which is Marigold. They not long ago started operating. They just have 1 year and some months. And they are right now
hmm
in an interpromotional rivalry with Marvelous. So both you and Ron and Johnny went over there,
hmm
represent Marvelous in the shows, and got a couple of victories for Marvelous. So what was your experience like in Marigold, and what impression do you have from the competitors that you faced at those matches?
Yeah, so me and Johnny did tag the first day, and then we had single matches the second day that we were there because we did back-to-back days for Marigold. Our tag match, again, I think Johnny and I just worked really well together as a team. So the tag match it went well, and I think that crowd for that first night, it was really, really big crowd. And they were excited to see Johnny with the championship, and they were just, I think, excited to see a couple of new faces go against the Marigold girls. And it was really cool to get to represent Marvelous and pick up the win for them that first night. And then also Johnny and I winning our singles matches the next day as well. It was fun to work with Hummingbird, who I worked with in the singles match. She's got a very athletic, acrobatic kind of style. So it was cool to play with that and the power element of my style. That crowd was a little bit smaller, but still like very active and participating too and reacting to things in the match. So it was cool to get to do that and just to see other parts of Japan as well, because we did have to like travel a little bit for it, and we got to stay in a hotel. We got to experience different areas, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Also, Hummingbird, we can say there's a similarity with you because you are both small girls but very strong, because she's also
Yes.
very muscular.
Oh yes, absolutely. No, I was very impressed by how athletic and her physique. Yeah, so that was fun to work with.
That's great. And then you also had the opportunity to make your debut for Sendai Girls, which is a
Mhm.
promotion run by Meiko Satomura, pro wrestling legend, just retired some months ago, but she is still active as the boss, the final boss of Sendai Girls.
Mhm.
And but again, you went with Johnny. In this case, you suffered two losses, but you were able to compete with rivals that with different styles, and maybe that you won't be seeing so often. So, what was your experience like with Sendai Girls, and what impression do you have of the competitors that you face on those matches?
Mhm. So the first match I had was me and Sadie Gibbs tagging against Chihiro Hashimoto and you, and their team 200 kg, and that was actually a lot of fun. They're a lot bigger than I am, so having two very powerful competitors and kind of having to play to my size and my speed a little bit more. And Sadie Gibbs is very agile, can do a bunch of extraordinary flips and stuff. So I think having those and combining the styles as a tag team, and then wrestling two very powerful competitors made for a fun match. And again, going from tagging with Chihiro Hashimoto to competing against her adds another element to that too. They're both wonderful to work with. They're both so nice as well outside of the ring. So I really enjoyed that. And then last match, I got actually a chance to work with Zones a little bit. And I was very much looking forward to that because I had been watching her stuff online and follow her on Instagram. So it was cool to have, because she's also muscular, big muscle girl. So getting to do some stuff with her and kind of play to both of our strengths, that was fun. And she, again, very nice. After our match, she asked me, please come back to Japan and let's have a singles match. So I would very much love for that to happen one day.
Oh, that will be very cool. And again, you have similar styles. She's the current Pro Wrestling Evolution champion.
Yes.
That will be something interesting to look into the future. If not, Sendai Girls will be a very good place for that.
Yes.
Okay, something that you also did before going to Japan was that you had the opportunity to work for AEW and Ring of Honor in some matches. So you had the opportunity to work some TV matches, which is a different format. Less time. You have to take in consideration many aspects because it's a live show.
Yes.
And what was your experience like working for those TV production matches?
It's interesting. Most of my ROH matches have actually been against Marina Shafir. The first time I ever worked for AEW, I did Dark Elevation, and it was a tag match against Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose. And then I came back and did ROH against Marina Shafir. And then I did ROH again against Marina Shafir. So yeah, I wrestled her quite a bit for ROH. I think each match was a little different than the last, so we got to mix it up some. And then I was able to compete against Chris Statlander for Rampage. And it was just a quick little 2-minute match, but I think that was cool to actually be on one of the main shows. ROH is still obviously a big deal, but getting to kind of branch out from doing ROH to Rampage was I almost didn't believe it when they told me that I was going to do that. They told me, I was like, oh, there's no way. So because referee Aubrey Edwards, she was the one that came and told me that I had that match that night, and I was like, oh, you're serious? You're not kidding with me? Oh, okay. But yeah, I think what was funny is that match aired very shortly after I got picked from the tryout for Marvelous, so that was really cool.
Great. Yeah, I saw some of your matches with Marina Shafir at ROH. So do you think that having all those matches also helped to what you finally did at DEFY in the title match?
Oh yes, absolutely. We grew very familiar with each other by that point, so I think getting the extra time to actually have a full back and forth kind of match at DEFY, it made it that much more easier because we were already comfortable and we already kind of knew each other pretty well.
Now, we have mentioned many different opponents from all around the world. So I want to ask if there's someone from anywhere in the world. Okay, let's say one from Japan and one from anywhere else in the world. Okay, that you haven't faced yet, that you would like to have a singles match with.
I think I'd actually love to have a singles match with Chihiro Hashimoto. I think having faced her so many times, that would be a great match to just do one-on-one. And I think I would love to wrestle Masha Slamovich in a singles match. I haven't gotten to do that yet. That would be a big one for me.
Thank you for sharing that. I will only add that there's a story with Chihiro. We were 3 months and you had 2 matches, one being tag team partners, one being opponents. And then that Masha Slamovich is also part of the Marvelous family. She did also, she had, while she was living in Japan, she had a lot of time of her run in Marvelous, and whenever she can, in the US, she goes to those shows. So there's a
Yeah.
story too. That would be
Yes.
cool. Okay, now going a little bit outside of wrestling, we want to know more about Amira behind the character outside of the ring. So could you please tell us about your hobbies?
Mhm. Yeah. So I'm actually a fairly active person outside of wrestling. I have been working as a fitness instructor for 10 years. I used to teach like Zumba classes and that kind of stuff. Now I work more so as like just a personal trainer, but I'm very active. Again, like I mentioned, I had broken my ankle from rock climbing before. So I used to do a lot of bouldering. Now, though, I feel like I like to, in my free time, I like to walk and explore like new coffee shops and stuff like that. I love eating food and trying out treats. That was actually a great thing about Japan is getting to try all the kinds of foods and stuff. And I like reading and I like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not super interesting outside of the ring because I just work out, read, and go for walks and stuff like that. Um, and I watch a lot of movies. I like to watch movies a lot. Before wrestling was even a thing, I was going to go to film school to get into film directing, but ended up a different route instead.
Well, those things happen. I don't think you're boring, but I think that people might be interested in what was the last book that you read and what was the last film that you saw.
Last film that I saw was actually the new Superman. I think, which I didn't even know that movie was out. I just was randomly looking for something to do one day with Ryan when we were in Japan, and we're like, "Oh, let's go see Superman," and it was actually a really good movie. I would recommend it. And then the last book I read, trying to see if I have it nearby. I can't actually remember the name of it, but it is about death and the culture around death in different parts of the world. So as a journalist writing about her personal experience with somebody close to her passing away and how she was struggling with that, but how she actually went to different countries around the world to see their culture around death and kind of how it helped her cope with that.
Thank you for sharing that. Did you guys watch the movie in Japanese, or was it dubbed or with subtitles? I don't know.
It was in English. We watched it in English, yeah, which I think was very funny because our every day we're just surrounded by people speaking Japanese all the time, and then we had like over an hour where everybody's speaking English, and then as soon as the movie was done, I feel like I got whiplash because then everybody was speaking Japanese again. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, that's funny. You just left your bubble. When you don't have a match or a show, what do you usually do during your day, on your daily life?
Mm-hmm. Normally, I wake up pretty early. I normally work, if I'm not with a client at the gym, I am working out before my first client at the gym. So I wake up around like 4:30. Yeah, that's my normal wake up time. And then I'll go and either meet with a client, work out myself, and then I'll have a few clients throughout the day. I might come home if I have a good break and just hang out with my cats, which is also something I do a lot of my free time, just hang out with my cats. And then normally after work and working out, some downtime, I have wrestling training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Friday, but normally I'm wrestling on a show on Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I normally have wrestling training from like 7 to 10 p.m. So I got a pretty long day normally. And some days I will teach like extra fitness classes too. So that's kind of like my daily routine. And then weekends and stuff, I'm just wrestling. So
yeah, I see a very busy schedule you have. And also I'm noticing a pattern because when I talk with Johnny about this, she is also the kind of person that, stays up late because of her work and then going to the gym, but then also has to wake up very early. So in the end, you guys sleep just a couple of hours. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough schedule, and I think Johnny and I benefited from the 3 months in Japan because we did get to sleep quite a bit more.
Oh, that's important. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now getting to this Johnny topic. And you guys met before going to Japan, right? Because I
Yes,
remember
we
you
knew
were
each
in
other.
the Marvelous show, but also before that, I think you had some shows together.
Yeah, we have done a few shows together, so we knew each other.
That's cool. So you guys were together also in Japan with other foreigners like Titus, Robert, Ryan, and you experienced that tour in Marvelous. But then after the tour finished, 1 week passed, and you guys reconnect in Canada and have your first match together. So life is crazy, you know. That's fate. I would say that's fate.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how was your experience together in Canada?
yeah. No, it was really funny because the moment I saw her, I was like, "Wow, different country, but not America. We're seeing each other." It was such a fun experience to get to have a match with her, especially after coming back from Japan, because I feel like we bonded as friends in a very big way while we were out there. So getting to wrestle somebody who became a very close friend of mine, yeah, we had a very fun match. And I think the crowd enjoyed it even more because they could tell how much fun we were having doing it. And it was an outdoor show too, so we kind of did some silly stuff in the match to get the crowd into it. But we were, it was so funny because we were both announced for the show when we were coming back, and she was the one who told me. She's like, "Oh, do you know we're wrestling each other?" And we thought for sure we would have maybe had one singles match, me and her in Japan, but it didn't end up going that way. So I think it's really fitting that our first singles match, like, well, at least I think, was that her first singles match back too? Because we were both, she was in a tag match when she came back, and I was in a scramble for a different company. So I think that might have been one of our first singles matches back, at least in North America. Yeah, I was happy to do that with her.
Johnny answered to my question about her hobbies that she actually likes to dance, but she's not taking dance classes. She just likes to dance. So have you talked about this and maybe giving her Zumba classes, which is not totally dance, but you know.
Yeah, it's funny. She did want me to go out and dance with her in Japan, and I didn't actually end up doing it. Way like quite a few years back, I actually, in addition to Zumba, I used to go and do like social dancing a lot. So I'm good at doing like salsa, bachata, and cumbia kind of partner dances. Which when I told Johnny that, she's like, "Why aren't you coming out with me?" She's like, "I need you." But yeah, so I do owe her some dance lessons. I should go out with her one of these nights.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Also, yeah, you know, the rhythm that you mentioned are more like tropical. So
Hmm.
you guys can be honorary Latinas too.
Yes.
Okay. After experience all that in such a short period of time, what would you say is next for Amira, both in wrestling and in life?
Mhm. In wrestling, I know that I personally want to keep branching out to more countries. I know I haven't been to many places in Europe, so I would like to kind of go that area next. My A big goal of mine too. My mom actually lives in Thailand, and I know there is a wrestling promotion called Set Up out in Thailand. And I would love to be able to go wrestle out there so my mom can actually see me wrestle live for the first time. So yeah, branching out to different countries, kind of moving out from the West Coast and doing more shows across the US. That's kind of where I'm looking towards right now. Just keeping the momentum going, because I think going to Japan was such a big step in getting out there. And I think keeping the momentum going, that way it can continue to grow and learn from other people. That's my biggest focus and kind of goal right now. Personal life, I mean, I think I think these new experiences really do help with my job as a trainer as well. When you're a personal trainer, you're kind of also you're kind of a little bit of a therapist too, in some ways. That one-on-one connection, and I would like to keep progressing in that and kind of evolving the ways that I can help people, whether that be physically or just letting them talk about their own lives. And I think getting all the experiences that I have had in this short amount of time kind of helps me give more to people in my job.
Thank you for sharing that. I believe there's a good possibility of you going to Europe now that West Coast and WXW in Germany have this partnership. Yeah. That will be very beneficial for talent from Europe, especially from Germany, and talent from the US, but especially from the West Coast or that side of the country, so they can experience more styles. We've seen Ryan Clancy in Europe before. Mm-hmm. That's how I actually know him.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. I believe those experiences, travel the world, knowing other cultures, other styles, other people will definitely help you a lot. Not only in wrestling, but in life, because those are experiences that make you grow. And it will be very cool now that you mentioned that your mom is in Thailand. I hope that our good friend Pumi, president of Setup, can see this. Or if not, I will try my best to tell him of this interest. We've seen many foreigners going over there in recent years. We've seen, especially from people that compete in Japan, we've seen Chris Brooks, El Fantasmo, Zack Sabre Jr., and we've also seen TJPW roster members. Raku and Bomb were champions over there. So, there's kind of a connection. Yes. So let's hope for that to happen. And good luck with the therapy work. That would be very interesting too. Okay, thank you for participating in this interview. It's been a pleasure to have you, Amira. Do you have any message for your fans watching this?
I just want to say thank you for supporting me and kind of being there from day one. I don't think I would have been able to push myself and go after these opportunities with such passion and fire if I didn't also feel like I had this whole family of people supporting and backing me. So thank you so much. And I hope that I continue to make you all proud.
Thank you for being here, Amira. I hope to see you soon and wishing you all the best on the remaining of the year.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, that was all for today, friends. Until next time.